Welcome back to Kerbal Space Program Career Mode. When last we saw our hero of this flight, Bob Kerman, in orbit around the moon, he's taken several EVA reports along the way on his flight thus far. The materials bay has been observed, and the goo containers have all been observed. There's been several things happening here. Just to quickly recap things here, let's review the data. Science bay, material study while in space near the moon. That netted 75 science. And just for grins here, I'm going to keep a little bit of a record of this. So 75 science, and we'll keep that data. And now the mystery goo containers, review that. We get 30 science. And we'll keep that, and we'll look at this other one, and it's going to say 30 science while in space near the moon. And so these two are going to say the same thing, I'm pretty sure. Yes, 30 science in space near the moon. Review that last one, 30 science in space near the moon. Okay, so that's 75 plus 30 plus 30 plus 30 plus 30. That's 195 science so far. And then, of course, there's also, let's go here and review stored data. There's 5 stored data in the capsule. And this has been EVA reports. We got an EVA report from space just above the moon's east far side crater. So that's 24 science. Store that. And just above the moon's midlands for another 24 science. Store that. And we've got in space high over the moon for 24 science. We'll store that. And 24 science from space just above the moon's far side crater. And we'll store that. And then, of course, finally, we've got EVA report from space just above the moon's midland craters. So, plus 24 for that. Store that, and that's all the data we've gotten. Add all this together, and that's 315 science on this ship. So, it did pretty good. It would have gotten a lot more had it been able to land, but as we found out, this ship had to use the fuel in these tanks to get out here to the moon and get into orbit. And this was originally intended to be the fuel it would land with. Since obviously that's not going to happen, the ship is heading home. So, we're going to go ahead and see, these last tanks have got 34 meters per second of delta V in them. That's not enough for a landing, not by a long shot. And technically, 2,456 meters per second in the center tank could be enough to land, but I think it's probably the better part of not screwing up and losing science to avoid doing that just this moment. And instead, let's get out here and plot a trip home. So I'm going to drop a maneuver node. I'm going to estimate it to be right about here. 4 minutes, 54 seconds away. We've got our precise node. Okay, so to escape the moon, all we need to do is add some prograde velocity. I'm adding it in 10 meter per second increments here. You can see it's having pretty good effect. Just add some forward velocity until we get an escape, like so. Zoom back out, you can see the periapsis at Kerbin is actually pretty high up there. So let's bump the time of our maneuver forward a little bit. And that doesn't seem to be helping very much, so let's bump it backwards. Make it sooner. Oops, too soon. Alright, let's add a little more prograde. And 10 meters a second more prograde brought it way down this far. Hit it again. And one more time. And finally, one more. All right, now I'm going to switch to 1 meter per second increments and just add in 1 meter per second at a time. And see here, I can see, no, I don't see it. Okay. Let me check my settings here. Show orbit information. There we go. Pull this up. See here is showing our Kerbal periapsis 848 kilometers. We'll just add 1 meter per second at a time. And you see that number coming down. It's easier to do it this way than to have to go over here and mouse over it every time. Just add in a little bit more velocity. Not very much at all things considered. 376 kilometers. Now I could have done several more advances by tens, but it gets real sensitive pretty quickly when you're doing that this close in. Okay, 117 kilometers. We'll go a little further. That's 70. And I'm going to aim for about 30 or 28 or so in that neighborhood. 28, that's good. 28 kilometer periapsis at Kerbal, which means once we do this burn, which is going to have to happen very, very soon, so let's get lined up. Get lined up on our maneuver node. As finicky as that can sometimes be, activate SAS to hold it. And begin burning as we fine-tune that alignment. And then burn full steam ahead here. Oh, that's right, our stage emptied, so we have to stage this off, finish it on the central engine. Alright, now let's fine-tune this. Actually, if that's a negative periapsis at Kerbal, that's actually not necessarily a bad thing for this flight. So we'll go ahead and get rid of our maneuver node. Yeah, it means that as soon as we get close to Kerbal, we're going to start re-entry anyway. Alright, SAS off to conserve power. And let's just time warp away from the moon. And we are well on our way back to Kerbal. As the moon continues around in its orbit that way, we're moving this way. And when we get to this point, we'll actually be here. You see it lights up on the pathway there. That's where we'll be. And it also shows here a blue mark. That's where the moon will be when we get to here. So we'll speed up the time warp a little bit. And you can tell we're well on the way back to Kerbal. And one more notch of time warp. Here we go. Back that off a notch and have a look from here. There's Kerbal coming up. Backed off another couple of notches there. Although as we reach 70 kilometers altitude, we will suddenly find ourselves at 1 times time acceleration. Alright, let's see if we can face this thing around retrograde We're coming into the atmosphere at 3 kilometers per second. I think doing some braking would be a good idea if we can talk the ship into doing that. But it doesn't look like it, so we'll just stage that lower stage away. It falls away. We get ready to hit the parachutes and come down in the ocean. Activate the parachutes about 300 meters per second. Well, in other words, we're going slow enough that they won't get torn off the ship. And this ship, with its goo containers and very valuable materials bay and crewmen, and crew reports and EVA reports and so on, will be returned and recovered, and we'll be able to do something with all of that new, hot, fresh, steaming science. Okay. We're over the ocean, so this number is actually valid. I'll get to about 1 kilometer, hit the parachutes, and there we go. Doing our last little bit of slowing down. Parachutes have opened up, nothing tore apart, nothing broke. And now it's just a gentle coasting ride down to the surface. Physics time warp that down a little bit. You see here we've got a shadow on the surface. We're going to touch down just a little over 4 meters per second, which is nice and gentle, comparatively speaking. The last little bit at regular time speed. All right, Bob Kerbin has safely returned from his science mission to the moon. So now let's go ahead and recover the vessel. Now I added up the science in flight on a calculator here. 315 science. Let's see what this thing shows me. 262.9 science. What the F? I added up all the science value for all that stuff, and I did it with you guys watching, so you know what I had. You can do the math yourself. It'll come up to 315. Why we didn't get all of that science value, I'd like to know. In the meantime, we have 269 science. And now we will adjourn to this Research and Development Center and see what we can come up with. Okay, here we are. 269 science to spend. And the first thing I notice is that this thing right here, which we've already purchased and we know we have because it's green, has a number 1 beside it. The number 1, the little numbers, as you can tell here, there's a 6 here. There's 6 things here that we can get from this thing. There's a 5 here. There's 5 things here we can get, and so on. So we go here, and there is one more thing that is not. You see, these are all indented. This one isn't. This is the MacLeod 2 AR202 case, and it actually appears in the tech tree now, as you can see, in career mode. And so I click this. I'm going to go ahead and click that. Do you sure want to research this part? Research. Notice 269 up here. Research that. It is now available. I didn't have to spend any actual research points to get it. I would have if I had gotten MacLeod installed before started with this, but I installed it just recently, and now it has been purchased through the tech tree. Okay, now we can do something with this 269 science. Alright, I'm tempted to get this 45 science. I am absolutely going to get this right now for 90. That's a round battery, a single solar panel thing, and a couple of different lights. It opens up some more stuff here. Mobility enhancer, a ladder basically. Another mobility enhancer, and a barometer. Bigger battery, better solar panels. Some small engines and tanks and RCS things. And here's more aerodynamic stuff. Here's more airplane parts and stuff. And so on. getting better off here. Let's see. 179 science remaining to spend here. Alright, let's go here. We get fuel lines, thruster blocks, RCS, two different RCS tanks, and a 48 7S rocket engine, small one, but good for in deep space stuff. Let's see, alright, let's go ahead and get that one. That opens up a couple of more things, which are grayed out, so that means there's apparently more than one thing that has to go into each one of those. I think. I don't know. Alright, what do we got down here? We've got some larger parts, larger fuel tanks and decouplers and so on. Advanced flight control looks good. We've got 89 science left. Which means we either hold that back and get something in this or this category next time, or we go ahead and grab this for 45 science, and I think I will. And that opens up this up here, which gives me the Poodle engine and the X216 fuel tank, when I can get it. So let's go ahead and duck out of here and see what we can do with our launch vehicle to redesign it or make it better, give it more get up and go when we get it in the effort to get it to the moon. Let's see, this the FLIX is what we used. Let's see how we can improve on this. Okay, we're going to need more get up and go. Definitely in getting this thing up off of the ground. Because the faster it gets up and the faster it gets moving fast, the better. So I think we can take this thing from great big and sort of almost uglyish to really frappin' ridiculous. Why not? It's the Kerbal thing to do. So we'll get some radio decouplers. We'll go for 3 times symmetry. No, that's not going to work like that. No. Wait a minute. No, that's not going to be acceptable. Take that off of there. Try putting it on here. No, it has the same effect. Okay. We'll have to do this in one at a time symmetry. Got angle snap selected. Like so. And there. And another one here. All right. Now on those, let's see here. Yeah, that first stage will definitely burn long enough to do it. So if we can fit these large boosters on, that would be the thing to do. Alright, we need to bring these down. maybe just move them to like that. No, let's kill the symmetry on them and do them sensibly. And then copy that one. Drop another one over here. Alright. Now let's copy this. Drop it on there. Alt click. And do the same thing here. Alright. That's given a whole lot more going on. And it'll mean more. We take these, put them up here. Alright. They will burn out before these do. So we'll take these 3 stages here, combine them into one, and then this stage we'll move it here. So that after these burn out, those will disconnect, and then this other stuff will disconnect. That should give us a lot more DV. Got a better thrust to weight ratio on takeoff, and we guaranteed get into orbit on the first 3 stages. That's good. Alright, let me review the staging here. Make sure everything's good to go. Okay. And let's pull these off, get rid of those, and use the larger decouplers simply because it stands them off the body a lot farther. Except I was actually aiming for 4-way symmetry. How's our thrust and times and so on? Yeah, I think we're looking good. Alright. We'll do one more thing here. See, we don't have ladder segments yet, do we? No. Oh, they'd be in here. Alright. I'm going to remove that. And instead, I'm planting on here a mech jet unit. Just one. I'm going to leave these girder segments on there for this one. I'm hoping to have science modules soon to make that unnecessary. Alright, this is the FLIX Mark II. And I think this thing should do a pretty good job. Oh, wait a minute. Aerodynamic nose cone thingies on the boosters. I don't know how much good they do, but patch notes does say that they do have some effect, so we'll leave them on there. Alright, save. One last look at our staging and everything. Okay, we're looking good. Time for crew assignment. And we've just got the first 3 guys. Let's do something about that. Exit the building. It's time that somebody besides Bill, Jeb, and Bob got the glory here. So we'll go over here. And let's just go ahead and hire everybody. No, let's hire people with low stupidity. Even if their courage isn't very high, if they're not stupid, that will help. This guy has no stupidity. Oh yeah, come on boy, get aboard. Okay, these guys might get their chance eventually, but we've got some more pilots now. Alright. Now I will cut to the launch pad by way of... I'm going to go into the VAB and assign a pilot, and then we'll cut to the launch pad. And I'm not doing it on camera because of the KSP likes to crash when you change scenes while Fraps is enabled. Changing out of the VAB to this scene doesn't seem to be a problem, but going into it or going from the VAB to the launch pad, it likes to crash. So I'll catch you at the launch pad. Alright, here we are. I did take some time to configure a flight stats window because I find that very, very useful. And our pilot for this trip is Patney Kerman, P-A-T-N-E-Y, pronounce it how you will. He is the one individual that had a pretty reasonable courage setting and no stupidity. At least no detectable stupidity. That, to me, makes him a very good potential pilot. And now I will also point out that we're right on the 30-minute mark, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this here, and we'll pick up the launch at the beginning of the next episode, which I will begin recording immediately. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. I'm out of here.